before we do any grafting, any pruning or collect any scion, we sterilise our secateurs and our grafting knife and any other equipment in 70% alcohol. Now, methylated spirits is 95% alcohol, and 70% alcohol is more effective because the alcohol gets better penetration into the fungi or bacteria cell wall. So I take 200 milliliter of water, I put it into a empty methylated spirits container, and I then top it up with straight metho. And that gives me my very near 70% alcohol. And you can see here I'd already put a marker on there where the 200 milliliter came up to, so I don't have to measure it again next time. I can just tip water in up to there. And I then write 70% alcohol on here. My grafting knife is sterilised. My secateurs are sterilised, and I do that between every graft. Now, a bit of an explanation. A grafting knife is flat on one side and it has an edge on the other side. That helps very greatly in making a flat cut when I do my grafting. Now, just demonstrate the way I graft. I hold this is a right-handed grafting knife. I hold the knife in my right hand, and I pull the stick through that I'm making the cut in and keep the knife fairly steady. Now, I want you to notice a couple of angles. My knife is very close to the cut, to the wood, and very little angle, and it is also angled on a reasonable angle like that. It cuts better than when it's at right angles to the wood. I select an area, generally select an area so I'm cutting with the bud either at the top or behind the cut. Reason for that is I'll just do it wrong to explain it. Reason for that is I can get a straighter edge. I don't get the curvature like I've got there. Okay, now I'm like this, and my knife hand should be fairly locked hard up against my chest, and it shouldn't move. I'm pulling the stick through the knife, and that should give me some nice straight edges on the cut. Now, if you can get a close up in here, you'll see the colour change there. In the centre you've got the xylem, and the xylem transfers like the water from the roots to the leaves. Where it changes colour is what we call the cambium layer, and outside the cambium layer we've got the phloem, which takes the solution synthesised in the leaves down to feed the roots. Now, where that colour changes, the cambium layer, that is the only part where the cells can divide. The cells can't divide in the xylem inside, and they can't actually divide in the bark or the phloem outside. So when we graft, we have to match that colour change there, the cambium layer, up on both the rootstock and the scion. Now, this is just an apple rootstock. We can get a lot of different types of apple rootstocks which have different characteristics. This is an MM102, It is the smallest of the woolly aphis resistant rootstocks, and it is the smallest of the hardy rootstocks. An apple on this should grow to generally about 2 to 3 metre tall, depending on the vigour of the root, the scion, and the soil conditions and such. When I say it's woolly aphis resistant, if I grafted a Granny Smith onto this, the woolly aphis would be able to live on the Granny Smith, but they need to be dormant over winter on the roots, and they can't survive over winter on the roots of this, so the rootstock gives the whole tree woolly aphis resistance. I've got my bud here. I'm going to go behind the bud bit rough, but it's a bit of a knobbly rootstock. Now I'm going to do a whip and tongue graft. A little bit over halfway. I'm going to go a bit over halfway. Now I want you to note my thumbs are together at the front and my fingers are together at the back. There is no way I can slip and cut myself. I have total control. Now this is a really nice locally grown seedling that is a very good cider apple. So I'm just grafting this for a friend who's a cider maker. A little bit over centre, little nick in. I've sterilised my seguitors, but I'll do it again. Going to take this to about 2 buds. Now when I say you match the cambium layer up, if the phloem on the outside is the same thickness on each one, then all we're really looking at doing is matching up the outside. Now I've got a perfect match up along there and very near perfect up there, but you can see I have no alignment at all on the other side, and that's not a problem. As long as it is aligned on one side, you should get take. This should be called a callousing hormone rather than a rooting hormone, and that will increase the callousing and it will heal quicker. Don't have to do it, particularly on apples, but there are some situations when it helps. Now I'm just going to line that up with my thumb as I come up. Just keep pushing it across, little bit out of a line there. And I'm keeping that nice and tight. Right, I'm just going to take that across a bit further. You see here, I've got to come back a bit, and I've got, I would say, perfect alignment the whole way. Tie him up. Now it's early in the season and this has got plenty of time to dry out, and I'm only grafting to a single bud, so I'm just going to put a little bit of Vaseline on there instead of grafting mastic. You don't need to do that, just it helps your percentages a bit. Now just explain something. This is just an apple rootstock. If I pruned this up here, I'd get minimal vigour in the growth of that bud. where if I prune that down here, I would get a lot of vigour in the growth of that bud. I graft down low generally for that reason, to put the vigour into the growth and to start off with a good shaped tree. How's that?